Welcome to Swartz Talkin Sports. I'm your host, Les Swartz. I know we had our show earlier this week, Jerome Bettis. We're back for another show in our Super Bowl extravaganza week. We've got a great guest tonight. Brian Holloway is going to be coming on in a minute to do his second interview with us, which is Brian Holloway Part 2. But right now I want to bring on someone who's been a frequent guest of the show, and I'm happy to say is going to be moving forward my co-host whenever we can get free anyway, and that's former Florida A&M quarterback Al Chester, quarterback of the 1978 Rattler National Championship team, and currently on the broadcasts of Rattler basketball and football. So, Al, I am thrilled to have you as my co-host moving forward, so I really want to thank you.
Well, I tell you what, I'm happy to be on board, man. I tell you, happy Throwback Thursday. And let's get this show started.
Let's get it started. Before we bring on our special guest, Brian Holloway, today, I want to first of all say a very special thank you to everyone out there that has subscribed. We hit a milestone, 500 subscribers. I never thought we'd even get there, but we did it. So I want to thank the entire Swartz Talkin Sports team, from my producer, Tony the Tiger Smeraldi, to my social media people, Kara and Greg, and obviously everyone out there, all my subscribers, my early ones, all my friends and family and neighbors who really tuned in and got this thing going. And then we just picked up steam, and we're going to do a special tribute at the end of this show to every one of those people that's made this show successful. But I have to give a very special shout out to one person in particular, and that's Vince Coleman. Vince hooked up Al and I. They've been tremendous friends and Florida A&M teammates. But Vince's tremendous pro baseball career with St. Louis and later the Mets. But I've got to say, he's been instrumental in helping me get a lot of these guests that you guys love to see. So, Vince, thank you so much. We love you. Thanks for supporting the show, and we look forward to making it bigger and better with you. So with that, let's bring on tonight's first guest, and our guest, Brian Holloway. Hey, Brian.
Hey, how are you, fellas? How are you doing?
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Good. It's wonderful to be back and to be in the presence of a legend.
He must be talking about you, Al, because he's not talking about me.
Yeah, we knew one day you would come. We knew one day you'd come. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey, well, I tell you what, Brian, it's been a tremendous run, man. I tell you what, and I'm excited about partnering up with Les. Looking forward to some great shows, and obviously glad that you're here. I like that Patriot jersey you're wearing.
That's right.
Holding it down in Tampa, Florida.
Okay. Drop back, sprint out, roll, waggle. Which one?
We're gonna waggle on the first sound. Ready, break.
Okay. All right. I'm probably going to be offsides. What else? But
as a quarterback, what did you like the best?
You know what? I tell you what. It was the command of the offense, and having those 10 guys look me in the face, understanding that, all 10 of those guys were from different walks of life, and I had to understand who they were to keep them motivated. And, certain players were motivated different, and that was always a treat. And but to put it all together and to be successful, you can't beat that with a stick.
Yeah, that's it. That's an ambassador of the universe right there, the quarterback, always. Yeah.
Hey, man.
Congratulations.
The quarterback's the trigger man. He makes everything happen. If you don't have a good one, you're not going to be successful. So,
Hey.
Well, I know the left tackle's important, too. I know the blind side guy. I know. I understand it. I know where you're coming from.
It all starts up front, though. I don't care. You got to have people push people around on both sides of the ball. So, Brian's right. Up front, you got to have those guys. I don't care who's in the backfield, who's pulling the trigger, who's spinning that ball. If you don't have those guys up front pushing people around, opening lanes for those running backs, nothing happens.
Yeah, because there's 6'7", 300 pounds of ugly over there on the other side. That's my job. I take care of that.
I'm just roaming the. Listen, I'd hope I could be a kicker or something, right? So, but here's the deal. So, obviously, February, Black History Month, and it's very, very important, and we really want to kind of showcase that on tonight's show. And we've got someone in Al that matriculated at an HBCU school, not only excelled on the field but off the field as a student.
Yeah.
We also have Brian Holloway, who's got very deep ties when it comes to the history of African Americans in this country. And you've got some interesting stories, and throughout that we'll throw up some pictures and things like that. I'd like to get kind of both of your experiences as it relates to everything, moving where we were in the 60s and 70s and where we are today, and maybe some of the advances we've made, what it was like as an athlete back then, breaking in and having, maybe breaking down barriers that you guys had to do to get to where you are. So, I'm going to kind of leave it up to you guys maybe to start this off, kickstart this thing, and I'll interject when we have to. If we have some questions out there from people on the show, we'll certainly have Tony shut them out. So I'm going to kind of throw it back to you guys. I'm just going to be the referee. I'm throwing the ball out there and let you guys run with it.
No, I want to hear our stories. I want to hear it.
Hey, well, I tell you what, I'm a proud graduate of Florida A&M University, the top historically black college in the country. National
Beautiful.
champs. And I tell you what, if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it the same way. But when you think about black history, I think about the things that I was taught. Certain names come to mind right off the rip. Martin Luther King Jr., of course, Shirley Chisholm, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, Malcolm X, John Lewis, Thurgood Marshall. Those are the kind of people that I was taught who led the way for us, who actually knocked on the doors, kicked the doors down to give us the opportunities that we have. And I'd be remiss if we didn't mention those guys. Even from an athletic standpoint, Jackie Robinson, the Jesse Owens, Althea Gibson, Hank Aaron, and Doug Williams, Art Shell. These people who cut their teeth on creating opportunities for black athletes. Jackie Robinson was the first black baseball player. Kenny Washington was actually the first NFL player, and then Earl Lloyd, the first NBA player. So I gotta throw my hat out to these folks, and there are many others, obviously.
And Willie O'Ree, the first NHL player, right? First NHL player, Willie O'Ree from the Bruins.
Yes, absolutely. So there were pioneers who opened the doors and allowed people like us to jump in and try to create some opportunities. For me, I'm a 1958 born guy. So, I picked it up in the late 60s and watching, we talked about my idols at quarterback, Elridge Dickey and Condridge Holloway and those guys, and wanting to pattern my game after them. But for me as a player, I saw what they went through. Don Gaffney, who was the first black quarterback at the University of Florida, he's a personal friend of mine, what he went through. I watched all of this stuff, and, it helped me be a better person. And my hat's again off to those guys who paved the way, and what a tremendous feat. And, I tell you what, I say this all the time, if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it the same way. I feel like that I wanted to be a big fish in a little pond, had some other opportunities, but things worked out for me the way they did. We had great success, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Now, Brian, Al put out some tremendous names out there of massively historic significance. You and your family have some very incredible relationships with some of those people. Maybe you can kind of expound upon that. There's some people out there like Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks that your family know personally, and some other things that your grandparents were just incredible ambassadors, but what they've done.
Yeah, my grandparents, my great-great-grandparents, and even before them, there was a strategy coming out of slavery to have the kids who are reading to become the leaders, to go in to become pastors, and that they would build out a manifest for the community and how we grow, how we nourish, how we build businesses, how we buy from our own, how we come independent, how we come, and my great-grandfather was part of that. And when everything was happening back then and all that freedom rang, my great-grandfather was there at the Biltmore Mansion, and he was helping, and he said, listen, we will provide you the skill and the talent and the expertise to build this up. Absolute craftsman. And we ask that you allow us to have the leftovers, because we're going to build a community center where our people could sleep, where we could interact with the community, where we could go swimming and our kids could go to school. but we wanted it open for all colors because it allowed the community to start the beginning of a wonderful way to just start slowly integrating into a community. And they called it the YMI, and it was one of the beginnings of the YMCA.
Wow.
So that was pretty significant. When I was a young boy, I'd go over to Grandpa's house, he would have these meetings. And these gentlemen would come in, and they all wore the same thing, walking in that long trench coats and hats full. And I never understood why. Of course, this was back in '62. And I always had to wear a dress shirt. I have a collared shirt on to come to the table. And one particular time, there was a gentleman there. He was short, and he talked really slow like this. And I asked Grandpa about that afterwards, like, who was that man? Grandpa, whack. That's where they knock you into the next room because you be respectful. I said, I didn't know Grandpa. And that was Dr. King. Wow. But none of that stuff was ever talked about because it was quite dangerous. And in my childhood, even in our household, no one would speak of that stuff to the kids because they were out there out front and doing some incredible things, but you had to be very, very careful. So I had to learn to walk on the street going to and from school, but I had to walk a different way so I didn't get run over. And it was quite an experience. And then you face tremendous amount of racism. I didn't get it at first. I said, what's wrong with the color of my skin? What are you talking about? And then through the years growing up, you realize you had to be a part of it. My grandmother, who was part Cherokee and Iroquois, and she grew all their vegetables because they couldn't afford to go buy food. And then, but every time we come over there, we would walk down the street, and I never knew why until I looked at the pictures. And we'd go to this water fountain. I said, Grandma, we have water at home. And take us to this water fountain, and we drink on this water fountain. And then we walk back home, and little did I know, it was back in it was white only water fountain. So, and I have pictures of that.
I mean, that's something to me that, obviously I was born in '63 in a northern town in Boston. And I know, Brian, you came up, in a military background family, and you moved around a lot. Al, I know you were from the Jacksonville area. When you were growing up and participating in youth sports and going into high school, was it segregated in your area? Was the high school segregated? Was it not? I mean, playing sports, was it all black? Was it integrated? Like, what was it like growing up in the Deep South in Jacksonville in the '60s and into the early '70s?
Well, I tell you what, the civil rights era was 1954 to 1968. But for me, I came in terms of being very active as an athlete because I was kind of sheltered away from that. My parents kind of sheltered my brother and I away from a lot of that. We saw it, read it, saw it on TV, could smell it, touch it, but it didn't really affect us. But now, when I went to high school on the heels of a year prior to when the school was integrated. And so there was some segregation back then, but the over-the-top stuff was a little bit before my time, but I was able to touch it, feel it, smell it, and realize that it was there. I saw the black only, the white only water fountains. The Woolworth issues that happened in North Carolina, they happened right there in Jacksonville, Florida as well. But didn't get a chance to, and probably a good thing. My parents sheltered me from it, but athletically, we had all black baseball teams, which is where I played initially, Pee Wee baseball, and all the black community was just that. It was a solid community, one big village, and we had our own little deals going. But now, as we matriculated up through high school, it kind of changed, and it was a blend of both black and white athletes, and we got a chance to see a lot of that, obviously.
Now, just to jump forward real quick, I know that, Al, you had mentioned a lot of pioneers, from coaches and players. in one particular Art Shell, who was the first African-American coach in pro football. Al Davis tabbed him to be the coach of the then Oakland Raiders. Question, do you think that for both of you guys, because, Brian, you played in the league for a number of years, do you think that they've made advancements in what's going on? I know they have the Rooney Rule and things like that, but we have more African-American coaches now than ever. But do you think that we're where we need to be, or do you think there still needs to be work done? Not just that, but black general managers, which, Ozzie Newsome comes to mind as probably arguably the best general manager maybe we've ever had in the NFL, right?
Yeah, dear friend. Yeah,
exactly, dear friend. And I know hopefully you're going to try to get him to come on this show before the draft, which would be an excellent get. But do you see a progress in both coaching and the GM spot?
Yes, absolutely. I've turned down 4 offers to become a general manager.
Why?
Just because. Why?
Yes.
Bro, I got 8 kids,
Well, that's more money to feed them.
No. You need to spend time with them. Okay. Daddy needs to be home.
Okay.
And needs to be responsible and needs to be about the principles and do your study and get things right. And so that there was a total family and have some balance, because when I was playing in the NFL, it was very difficult. I was in tremendous pain around the house. And I had very little time to just have that kind of interaction. So that was really important to me, because that education, big in our family. And I remember when we were in Alabama back in the 70s, my brother, sister, and I were the first 3 blacks to pass this private elite academy, and we thought it was like a really wonderful milestone. But that night, when it hit the newspapers, we had to leave town, and we never came back. We left everything there and headed up to Hanscom Field.
Wow. Yeah. How about Les? I tell you what, at the start of the 23 season, NFL season, there were 14 starting black quarterbacks out of the 32 teams. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the most in NFL history. That's huge. You talk about the black head coaches. Now, there are only 3 black head coaches in the National Football League right now, but there are a boatload of coordinators and position coaches, obviously. And then rolling downhill a little bit, there are only 7 of the 69 Power 5 schools in college that are led by black coaches. So there's been some progress made. And I tell you, 45 years ago, there's no way we could say or shout these type of numbers out, but baby steps, but steps in the right direction.
Yeah.
No, I know we obviously highlighted Art Shell. Obviously, the first black NBA coach was a player coach, Bill Russell, with the 69 Celtics, won a title, and the first black manager was Frank Robinson with the Cleveland Indians, I believe.
Yeah.
In the 70s. I don't think we've had a black hockey and NHL coach. Oh, no, we have. We have had one, and I'm just trying to think who it was. And we have had a black head coach.
There's going to be a time coming where that word disappears.
Well, it should be just coach. It should be anything. It shouldn't be identified as the color of your skin or your race or your ethnicity. It should be you're a great quarterback, not you're a great black quarterback. You're a great you're a great quarterback. At least that's the way I look at it. What about you guys?
Everything that we do is results driven. I mean, if you're productive, you're getting the job done, and you're winning. I mean, that's what it's all about. Right. I mean, so what difference does it matter if you wear your hat backwards or you wear blue shoes or green shoes? If you're getting the job done, make it happen. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's what it should be anyway.
Yeah. I'm African American. I'm Native American. I'm Roman, and I'm a Viking.
Okay.
I play football.
Okay, I got to hear about how in the world are you?
I lift weights.
You didn't play for Minnesota.
My heritage. Shut up. It's so stupid.
Sorry, I had to interject there. I had to do that.
Yeah. So I didn't see color. I mean, going into the Patriots locker room, things weren't necessarily a dicey friendly place where we're all about the love. But I didn't see color. I saw performance. That's all I saw. I saw wins. And so the only way that comes is you work hard, you lift weights, you study, you learn, you discover, you test out new things. And when I was out there left tackle, one of the things I did was it doesn't make sense for me to sit there and just go and keep blocking this guy one way. So I had 75 different blocks I would use on the defensive player because I had to throw them off and give them false keys because there was some great talent on that other side. Leroy Selman come off the corner, that's a problem. Too tall, that's a problem. Howie Long, that's a problem.
Yeah, I was going to say,
okay?
you happen to go up
Dexter
against...
Manley, that's the problem.
I was going to say,
it's all bad.
You had Hall of Famers going up against every week, basically. I mean,
all bad for them.
Well, we do have, but we actually have we do have a question. I just wanted to...
All bad for them.
The viewers are out there, so we have one question real quick. So let's have Tony ask the question.
Sure thing. So let me just get to it. Right. Give me one second.
I actually preempted Tony. He wasn't prepared for that one. That's my fault.
That's quite okay. So Tech for Fun asks, we have come a long way. Well, he makes a statement. We have come a long way, but there is more to do. Al and Brian, where should the efforts be focused to continue moving forward toward equality?
Well, I can tell you one thing, having the coaches in there, but it's not just during the season. Because the off season is tremendously important, where the players have a chance to be committed to this thing called recovery, regeneration, conditioning, and also education. So that there is a place called, you're creating enormous wealth, and that comes with obligations. So that kind of financial literacy is of tremendous importance, and providing assistance there. And also what I love that was incredibly important is balance for family. So after the season, they have a getting together with many of the families. It's called pro athletes. It's called the PAO. And pro athletes get together in their families, probably 600 to 800 ball players. And you learn about things called a family and dealing with the emotions and relationships and understanding a father's commitment and responsibility to the family, and also even understanding and learning about the wiring of the gifted and powerful wife. And a lot of us did. I didn't know. I saw, but it was quite helpful to learn because we're wired completely differently than other men. And so to be able to sit there and go, now you're all together. We're all the same tribe. You get a chance to see. And we can help each other. That was very helpful. And there'll be a lot more of that.
Now, I'm going to throw...
I think that...
Go ahead.
I think that athletics, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, regardless of the sport, is a small microcosm of society. So how do we get better is we've got to create opportunities and allow everybody to flourish. And I think that
sure,
if given the opportunity, you'll see that folks can perform. And but we're a mirror image of what we see outside of athletics. So you see the controversies, the speed bumps, and the potholes that we deal with daily, even right now, politically, internationally. And it has an impact on everything else. It kind of trickles down. So it's going to take a lot of hard work. Has progress been made? Yes. Can it be better? Absolutely. And if we can take strides in those directions, hopefully in our lifetime we'll see a better day.
Now I want to take this show, and I don't want to. Obviously, we're not finished.
I asked Rosa Parks about that.
And what is she? And that's just incredible that you asked Rosa Parks about that.
Her brother lived right down the road, and her name was Rosa Macaulay Parks. Her cousin lived right down the road, and they'd have their fan reunion. And then I said, well, look, you're welcome to come up and have it at our place. It'd be wonderful to have you up here. And so that would be the place. I think probably 7 or 8 of them. And I would get a chance to go, Rosa, there's your chair over there. And she liked to sit under this incredible maple tree. And she loved her sweet tea. And I said, Rosa, what was it like? And she said, look at here over those fields. See them 200 acres? Them's are ours. Look at those horses. That's ours. Look at all these children playing. That's ours. And I didn't know what to say. And I said, why do you like sitting under this tree? She said, when this tree was planted, we were slaves. And I didn't know what to say in that historic moment. And I just sat there frozen. And then she said, boy, get my sweet tea real quick. You know how I like it. You want to get that, you know? You don't have to be all sitting there goofy. We're
She put you in your place, Brian.
Well, she said, we're here. We're here.
Well,
we're
Hey,
here.
Les, what's so important about what he just said is it's important that we teach the other our young kids. They need to know and realize and recognize the shoulders that they're standing on. There are a lot of people who made sacrifices, gave up a whole lot, so we can have the ability and the freedom, if you will, to do what we're doing now. But I think it's important that the young folks know and realize the shoulders that they're standing on, and you can't ignore that. I mean, it's history. Black history is American history.
Yep. Well, yeah,
tremendous sacrifice.
Al, you talked before the show. I mean, just things that I didn't know about inventions and breakthroughs in American history that were engineered by African Americans. I mean, maybe you can just kind of elaborate on that. It blew me away. I didn't know this.
Yeah, the things we take for granted, the egg beater, the folding chair, the gas mask, the hairbrush, keychain, lawn sprinkler, the mailbox, a mop, peanut butter and jelly, a peanut butter for sure, eye protectors, the elevator. How about a clothes dryer? These are some of the things that Black inventors made in terms of contributions to our society, and we can't forget that. We can't ever forget that. And we need to ensure that all the young Black kids who grow up need to know whose shoulders they're standing on. But we take these things for granted. I tell people all the time, if you took your thumbs and you didn't have your thumbs, you can't even imagine what you can't do without your thumbs. I mean, from picking up food to wiping your butt, and then like your big toe. I mean, if you didn't have your big toe, you couldn't walk. I mean, we take a lot for granted. So I got to echo, how proud I am to be a Black man. One, two, the contributions that Black Americans have made to the United States and this world, and they should be saluted. February is set aside as Black History Month, but Black History Month is every month.
I agree. It's part of American history. It's interwoven in American history.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I learned so much. My brother, and he went to Stanford, and he went to Yale, and then he became the first Black dean of Yale University. And then he became the first Black provost at Northwestern. And now he's the president of Rutgers University.
That's incredible.
Outstanding.
And it's one of those where, wow. And the stuff that he shared all over the world. And he's one of the top historians. I learned some stuff that I never imagined from him, and also from studying the history. And you want to see a name, look up the Vernon John story. That was one of my great uncles. And he was the one that taught Dr. King at Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar got together and put up the funds to make a movie about it. So it's called the Vernon John story.
Wow.
And you'll see. And while my kids were all sitting around watching TV, we were on the road, and they said, Dad, come on, let's watch this movie. I said, okay. What's a football movie? I said, okay. And it was Remember the Titans. And then they were like, yeah, that was incredible. It wasn't really like that back then, was it? It wasn't really like that. And I said, and then when they looked at me, my shirt was completely wet. So I cried. They said, why are you crying? I said, I was there.
That's right. You played against Herman Boone's
We
squad.
played Coach Boone. The big guy they were talking about, that was me that they were having to face. Churchill High School was the top Maryland state champions. Coach Boone had Virginia state champions. And what we would do is we would sit there after the season was done. We had our own championship game, and it was for real. And they're great talent, great players. And my daughters were like, and my sons were like, it was like that? I go, yes, it was.
Oh, I mean,
yes, it was.
and if you compare it to that time, obviously things have changed dramatically, but you're right.
That was our time.
That's your time. But I'm saying, you're right. Things have gotten better, but obviously there's always room for improvement. Always. There just is. Now, I just want to, so we're going to go to commercial break in a little bit, but I just want to digress and maybe turn this thing 180 degrees because I do want to get back to a lot of this. But we had a passionate, I won't say, we had a passionate conversation early before we came on the air between us three, Brian and I especially. And that's
about the Super Bowl this week?
No. We're going to get to the Super Bowl. No, we're going to get to your pick, which is probably going to be wrong. That's okay. We'll come back to that. But listen, you guys both played college ball. College ball is in the news. It's really football driven, and into some, it may be basketball as well, but it's really football. And it's all about the transfer portal. It's all about the NIL. It's all about what's happening with these schools and conference realignment. And now the word comes out that Dartmouth College, an Ivy League school, their football team wants to unionize. And they don't want to be known as student athletes. They want to be known as they want to be known as employees of the school. Okay, I have a problem with it. I just think it ruins collegiate sports. That's just my opinion on it. I know, Brian, you're pretty passionate about that, saying, well, what about all the hours we practice? But you do, as a student athlete, you do get a free education. That's what I thought you were supposed to do when you went to college.
Well, no, when I look at it, I kind of saw it that way too, until I started looking at the books and the numbers of the revenue generated for the university. And I said, I just don't get why. It would make sense if we get a bigger piece of this, because it's absurd. And the more I looked at the numbers, the more I said, there's going to come a day when that will happen.
No, but
there'll become a day.
But I understand the NIL, right? Both you guys. I understand it was supposed to be name, image, and likeness. Basically, I know, like Al, you're going to the bookstore and they've got your jersey hanging there, right? And they're selling your jersey. I'm just saying for $19.95. You're not getting anything from that back in the day, right? Now, you're Absolutely. The one who made that jersey saleable because of your play and who you were. I get that. Name, image, and likeness. That's what it's supposed to be. But right now, it's the Wild West out there. There's no cap to anything. You got boosters throwing money at kids. They're
bro. There's some athletes out there that have a broadcast reach that are larger than the networks.
You're right. With social media, the advent of social media, no doubt about it.
But there's money. There's money and products moved as a result of that.
But you have to cap this, Brian. There's got to be a cap to this.
No,
somewhere.
Absolutely no. Nope.
We're going to agree to disagree. Al, what do you think?
Well, I tell you what. I mean, I think that everything you're saying is dead on the money. Things are out of control when it comes to college athletics. A lot of money has been made, and just like Brian said, the revenue that the colleges have been making for years is over the top. Now, they're just making it legal. I think, the agents, the boosters paying players. That's always been part of the deal. It's just now it's a legal piece right now.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with the guys and the ladies making as much money as they can. I mean, I think it's a great and tremendous opportunity. Like Brian said prior to the show, if he and I were playing now, what kind of coin we could make and make a better life for our families, et cetera. I don't fear them at all. I think though that the danger here is because there's no control, there's no firewall, if you will, on how do you contain it to keep it where college athletics is still college athletics. Because I think in a couple of years, if not sooner, it's going to really be out of control. I like to see the guys and gals get all the money they can get, but somehow, some way, you got to find a way to control it if we're going to continue to have that. If not, then you're going to have, just like you talked about earlier, you got these two conferences that are talking about doing their own thing. They don't need the NCAA. And we talked about this on a previous show. May not be an NCAA in the coming years. And then where do we go from there? And I mean, and is college athletics now professional athletics?
Well, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about that. And we'll also talk about, obviously the big game Sunday between the Chiefs and the Niners, the upcoming Super Bowl. So we'll be back with more of Al Chester, Brian Holloway, after this.
High Tide Chiropractic, located in Leland, North Carolina, off Village Road. Dr. Levi Bradburn and his team specialize not only on spinal and extremities care, but also focus on sports injuries and a variety of chronic ailments. Treatment plans may include diet and lifestyle behavioral modification to achieve optimal health. Call us to schedule your free consultation, and we will design a personalized program to meet your needs. It's time to get the results you deserve.
Welcome back to Swartz Talkin Sports. I'm your host, Les Swartz, and we get into a little passionate debate here. It's the first time I've ever gotten passionate about anything. And by the way, Alan Bryan, if you wanted to know, that is me on the chiropractic table getting stretched out. That is me. Tony, my producer, was like, let's get down there and take a shot of you. I'm like, fine, great, fantastic. But just to pick up where we left off about this, I know, Brian, you had said earlier that if this was now and you were playing, you wouldn't even pursue a career in football. You'd take whatever the NIL money could take you and just go from there.
No, I would take it and stay at the university. There is greater velocity of money that's happening at the university level than an NFL team. Absolutely.
But why did you want to play? Let me ask you a question. You were an All-American at Stanford. You blocked for one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, John Elway.
Drafted. One of the greatest quarterbacks of all time got protected by one of the greatest players ever. Is that what you're trying to say?
Oh, my God. Are you talking about Michael Orr? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had to throw that. Sorry, I had to say that. And I know you know Michael Orr.
Brave one you are, my friend.
But let me ask you a question. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So you got drafted in the first round by the Pats in '81, right? But why did you want to play? Did you want to play pro football? Were you consumed by it? Did you, it comes with a lot of work, a lot of sacrifice. Look at the toll it took on your body all those years, right? I mean, the multiple surgeries. Did you love to play? Did you want to play? Or was this something, well, I'm 6'7", I weigh 300 and something pounds, and, well, I'll give it a shot. I mean, why did you want to play pro football?
No, I absolutely loved and was inspired by what I learned from Bill Walsh.
Okay.
And I was fascinated because I knew we'd go through so much change. And so I was die hard. Now, when I was younger, I was die hard baseball, but I was terrible. So that wasn't for me. But yeah, I was very passionate and very committed, and spent 4 hours every night after practice going through reels of the game from. And when I lined up, I watched over 1,500 plays of that player in preparation for one game. So that's a whole season.
Well, okay, but let me ask you guys this. So obviously we talked a little about NIL, right? Now, a couple of days ago, they just had the final, signing for the high school players at the colleges. They do the early signing now in December, and now they do the late signing in February, which used to be the all in all, right? That was the one. Now, they use the word commit. He's committing to a school. He's committed. First of all, there's no commitment to anything. He might be going to that school, but he's not committing. No one's committing to these schools. A kid comes on campus, looks at the quarterback situation and goes, yeah, I'm not going to play. Now, I'm looking at Al. I've got to know Al a little bit over these few months. I know, Al, if you were going to a school and they had two quarterbacks, freshmen coming in, you're damn well going to compete. And you're not going to leave. You're going to compete for that position. Am I right?
You're absolutely right. And what you said earlier, that the word commit is so fluid now that it doesn't really mean anything, doesn't have any value. There's no loyalty, if you will, because players have options now. And I always look forward to the competition. I'm sure like Brian, I would study my opponent Monday through Thursday. Come Friday, we chilling a little bit. Saturday, it wasn't a matter if I was going to beat you. It was a matter how bad I was going to beat you. And but the kids now, it's a different day. I mean, the attitudes are a lot different. I don't even know if they work as hard as Brian is talking about. he
No.
did back in the day. A lot of these kids, obviously, they've been programmed to play football, and then to kind
There's few of them out there working real hard.
Yeah. When you've been playing the game all your life, the ultimate is to play at the highest level. And so back in the day, the challenge was I want to play in the National Football League. It was always the next level. So if it was middle school, it was I want to play varsity football. Then from varsity football to college, and then because the numbers dwindle down as you go up higher. I mean, the talent pool is a lot better, and of course, you want to play pro football if you get that opportunity. But it's a different day now. The kids are even different. The attitudes are a lot different. They're motivated by a different deal. And it's like raising your kids. I didn't raise my son like my father raised me. And I don't think my son is raising my grandkids like I raised him. You got to finesse the thing. Now, is it right? Is it wrong? You got to find a way to pull the best out of them, to get the best out of them, to achieve the best, and keep them focused at the same time. I mean, so it's a challenge now. Just being a parent, it's a hell of a challenge being a coach.
Yeah.
But Brian, let me ask you a question. You played at Stanford, right? Does it make sense? Does it make sense for Stanford and Cal to be members of the ACC? I mean,
does it make sense?
I mean, you're talking.
I think it's very exciting.
But
I think it that level of intensity will demand that they go and recruit different, train different, build different, see different. I'm about competition. I'm about competition.
But it's called the Atlantic Coast Conference. You got two teams from the Pacific
Coast.
No.
That doesn't mean anything anymore.
I know it doesn't.
Yeah, don't get in that. Look, there are people at home. No one saw this 5 years ago. There's people at home making, $500,000 doing stuff online. You're gonna say, well, you should at least go to work. No, you shouldn't.
Yeah, we have to figure out how to do that.
You should grow every opportunity you can to get bigger, faster, wider, deeper, easier, sustainable, scalable. Get big, fast, and easy.
I'm a traditionalist, Bri, right? I'm just like
shush.
I know, but I mean, I just think that all this conference realignment, because what it's going to do, this is just my opinion on this. And Al, you played at back then it was 1AA, which is now FCS level. So basically, if you're a coach in the FCS level, and I think we're going to get the coach of Furman coming on pretty soon to talk a little bit about this. He recruits players, he develops them, and then what's going to happen after 2 years, they're good. They're going to make the jump to another school. They're going to transfer up, and all that development and time that coach has put into that player.
Oh, stop it!
Another school is going to reap the rewards.
It's a coach.
No,
that's their job. They do job. They do it. It's hard work, and
Al,
they're
help me out
shifting
here.
Platforms. Okay. And so you tighten up the belt and you go to work.
I tell you what I see when you talk about these conference alignments. Now, your number one revenue generating sport is football. They basically cover everybody, and I think that's across the board in with all the schools.
Okay.
So you got Cal and you got USC who will travel to the East Coast to play football, but what about their golf team? What about their tennis team? What about
the
volleyball team? I mean, that's where it gets a little wacky because you coming all the way across country. Now, geographically, if everybody stayed together, it worked better that way because you're close, you come back and so forth and so on. But now it's going to get real dicey when your golf team of 3 or 4 people got to fly all the way to Gainesville to play the University of Florida, anywhere to the East Coast. I mean, that's going to be challenging, I think, challenging on the kids, challenging on the coaching. And at the same time, I mean, you're going to be burning a lot of revenue. And obviously the move is to generate more revenue or to gain more revenue through television, et cetera. But it's that unknown that hadn't been quite executed yet that we got to see how it plays out.
Well, Brian, let me ask you this question because Al and I on past shows have talked about it, and we agree that eventually, and I think it's going to happen sooner than earlier because the Big Ten and the SEC have had initial discussions on some of this, that the NCAA is going to go away. And there's going to be one super conference of 60 to 65 teams. They're going to negotiate the TV's deals. They'll have their own commissioner, a deputy commissioner, and they'll deal with it themselves. I mean, the NCAA.
I would not be surprised.
Okay, I just wanted to see what you thought about that.
It's called business.
Yeah,
it's called business, bro.
Everything's about the almighty dollar.
They call it. What, you're going to sit there and go? Here comes this interesting little thing called Uber that wiped out a nation of taxi drivers. Wiped it out. A whole industry took it down.
Oh, no, you're right.
Okay, that's the big game.
I use Lyft, by the way, not Uber, but I get you.
Shut up. I do. You just always got to.
I had to.
But Les, you got to look at the big picture. Everything is evolving. Every facet of our life is evolving. It's changing. The way we do business, how we do business, and the technology nowadays. I mean, the Zoom. What we're doing right now. This Zoom call right now. I mean, we weren't doing this 40 years ago. I mean, so it's a totally different day. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he said, "Hey, look, I got to go to a conference meeting." And in my mind, I'm thinking everybody's sitting around the big conference table. No, that's not what it is. They're meeting with people all around the country, but they're doing it just like we're doing it right here. I mean, so the evolution of how we do business, everything. We talked about that microwave mentality. Everybody wants instant gratification right now, and and it's a lot of money. Like Brian said, it's a boatload of money out there in college football, and people want to touch it, feel it, smell it, and these athletic directors are trying to find a way to make it all happen.
It's just different. I tested some algorithms and wanted to go and see how far I could go with the broadcast for people to go broadcast and reach my website. I had 126 million people on my site. I was like, whoa, I didn't know that was possible. Well, that was back 10 years ago. Now you get these kids on social media that get 1 million views.
How can we?
And they're monetizing it. They're monetizing it. Good for them.
Yeah.
No. I mean, listen, more power to you. It's become. I've always said instant gratification is the way to go. I know Al calls it the microwave society, but it's true in society as well as sports. I mean, it just is. People want things now. It's like I'm out of school now. I want to be making $200,000 a year. I want a house. I want a car. Well, sometimes it doesn't happen that quick as a 22-year-old. You're gonna have to work for something. I mean, that's my take on it, Brian. That's just.
I agree with you. Or you find a different lane. That's all.
Yeah. No. I get that.
I believe in hard work.
But let me ask you both this, and I kind of think this, and then we'll get into the big game this weekend because, people are probably like, really? Can we talk about the biggest game of the year? But my question is this: when it gets to the point where, and these guys are getting paid, and if the schools break away from the NCAA and they form their own league, do you see it happening like? Well, a quarterback's going to be allotted $2 to $4 million. A running back position, a starter is going to get this. There's going to be a pay scale in this thing?
No.
Or how do you think that's going to work?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, it's all based on their views.
Okay.
And they build that through social media.
But this NIL thing, like, you've got, and again, I'm not knocking anybody for taking money. If someone came on the show right now and said, hey, Les, we'd love to take your show over and we're going to pay you this if we made a change, I'd be like, okay. But I have to take Al, and I got to take Tony, my producer, or I'm not going.
What about me? Okay.
Obviously, yes, we would recur you to come on at a certain date.
I can make the coffee.
But you know what I'm talking about? I mean, yeah, of course I take the money. I don't deny anybody from taking money like that, just like a pro athlete, But I do agree with, like, if you have a contract, you're under a contract, you sign it. Because someone else is making more money than you the next year, I want more. Well, listen, I work a regular job.
No. It's free enterprise, bro.
But what does a contract mean? What is a contract when you sign it?
A contract, again,
it's only as good as
I agree with you.
Okay.
But it's a new world, bro. It's a new world, new game, new life for me.
It makes me crazy.
Feeling good.
Makes me crazy. Well, anyways, all right. So listen, we've done a lot today. We've gone over a lot of topics. Before we get to the
Kansas City Chiefs, baby, Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, I think we're all in agreement there. But before we do that, Al, I want to touch. I want to touch briefly
49ers.
on your NCIS career, because when you first came on and you had mentioned that you had worked in NCIS, a lot of people were super interested in that. Maybe talk a little bit about going from, was it right after college? Was there a space in between? And some of the places you visited and some of the experiences you get to have working for the NCIS that, we only see on television. And is it like television?
Well, I tell you what, it's all sensationalized for television, but when I finished Florida A&M, I didn't get drafted, didn't get that opportunity. So I went to Canada for a couple of years, came back to Jacksonville, and played in a little semi-pro league here in town, got the football thing out of my system, and then I ended up working for the mayor's office. And while I was out visiting one of the city sites, I ran into a young lady who said, "I want you to meet my sister. She works it was NIS at the time, the Naval Investigative Service." And I said, I'd love to. And so I met her. She told me about what they were doing and what it was all about. My degree is in sociology and minor in correction. So I wanted to do law enforcement, but I didn't want to wear the blue uniform and be in a police car. I wanted to do it on the federal level. So I applied with them. I applied with the FBI, DEA. They hired me first and gave me an opportunity of a lifetime. And I started out here in Jacksonville at Cecil Field, which is actually where I'm at right now, at a gym that used to be a naval base, a naval air station. Went to Adak, Alaska. There's a 2-man shop out there. Wow. Came back to Washington, D.C., and then came back to Cecil Field. Went over to Naples, Italy. And in Naples, Italy, I was doing protective services. So I woke an admiral up every morning and put him in bed every night. And I lost my hair over there, but because the threat was real, that's where I lost my hair. But tremendous opportunity, and come back to Jacksonville. I went back to D.C. I ran our public affairs department, and then got promoted. Went over to Yokosuka, Japan. I was the assistant special agent for criminal investigation at all Southeast Asia over there, all the naval bases and the Marine Corps bases over there, responsible for the criminal investigations. Came back to D.C. Ended up being the director of training, and moved our training department from D.C. back down to the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center here in Brunswick, Georgia. And from there, I came to Mayport and was the special agent in charge. That was the last job that I had. But I had a tremendous career, got an opportunity to travel around the world on the government's dime, because of the training piece. Had a chance to go to Bangkok, Thailand, the Philippines, and all throughout Southeast Asia.
He's five-star general. He's five-star. He's five-star general.
Every place you can go in Europe, I was there because the 4-star admiral was a big baller shot caller, and we were doing protective services on him. And I had a team of about 7, 8 guys, man. We had a ball, but the stress and the realization of real-time law enforcement was true.
Did you ever have any close calls?
I had a couple of them, but I tell you what, I don't know if I could do it again because I was able to do this without my family traveling with me because my wife has an illness that kept her in Jacksonville. But I was blessed that I had the family support mechanism in place. Her mom and dad, my mom and dad, before they passed away, were all here in place. And I had a lot of people. You're talking about a village raising a child. I had some people step up and step out when I was out of pocket in terms of keeping a hand on my son. And I'm eternally grateful for all of that. But a good time, good career. And it enabled me to provide the kind of living I wanted to for my family, but a great opportunity at the time. And you talk about Black history, and it wasn't a whole lot of Black agents, and not even on the federal level at all. But so to be able to pass a background investigation and get selected at that time was a tremendous feat for me, and I give God all the glory.
Mad respect, yeah.
That's outstanding. That's just
serious
outstanding. I think people are going to really love that up. Now, okay, we got the big game Sunday. Now, we got Al's pick on Tuesday, and he'll reiterate that. Brian, who's going to win the game and why?
49ers are going to win the game.
Okay.
Going into the third quarter. And then suddenly, a spectacular moment. And then all of a sudden, it's going to change. And that thing going to flip-flop, all the way down to the last second. I promise you, because that gives you the most shot of Taylor Swift
Oh, God.
in the box.
I don't even think she wants to be recognized anymore. I think she's like had it up to here, to be honest with you.
No. The biggest network that is had the biggest money velocity of all is 12 to 15-year-old little girls. And so that's pushing more money around than anything that happens in the NFL. And I assure you that that's a wonderful new market that's opening up for the NFL that they may not have seen before. Now, I'm speculating on that.
Okay.
How could I possibly know? I wouldn't know those kind of things.
Well, I don't know. You
But
seem
could
to come out with
that
these
was
things.
True.
Well, okay, I got a question then. So what you're telling me is that it's going to be a last-second touchdown pass from Patrick Mahomes to Kelsey to win the game?
It'll be something spectacular, and everybody will have gotten their money's worth, and they know they would have seen the greatest Super Bowl of all time.
Okay, so you like Kansas City to win the game?
I don't know who's going to win, bro.
Oh, man, no, you can't do this. Al, he can't do this. He's got to pick a team. Here it is.
KC.
There it is. Vince was there the other night.
San
Vince
Francisco.
drove by.
I was
This is
almost a
courtesy of Vince.
49er.
Come on, make a
I
pick.
was almost a 49er, and I was almost a Kansas City Chief.
Well, you got to make a pick.
Oh, bro. I will tell you.
We don't have 2 hours. You have to make a pick.
I swear, if I could, I would grab you by your spindly little neck and snap it like a dry twig.
Wow.
I swear.
Well, that's
if I
real-
could
look at
catch
that.
you.
Look at this.
No, I wouldn't do that. No, I'm kidding. So, Kansas City.
Okay, Kansas City. Okay, finally,
Now,
we got to pick out of Brian.
49ers are more fundamentally sound.
I want the Niners to win. I think they have the better team. I think Kansas City
I
is
do
the best
too.
player. I think Kansas City is the best player.
I do too.
Al, you like Kansas City?
I do, and I tell you what, on paper, San Francisco is probably the better team. I mean, Brock Purdy, quarterback, who is Montana-like. You got Chris McCaffrey in the backfield. You got Deebo Samuels out wide. George Kittle, I think, is a game breaker.
Big time.
Nick Bosa and Chase Young. I mean, you got those guys on the defensive side of the ball. Now, there are 3 phases to the game: offense, defense, special teams. So I think on paper, San Francisco stacks up better. However, it's hard to beat and bet against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he went into Buffalo, he went into Baltimore and took care of business. Him and Travis Kelce got something special going on. Chris Jones at defensive end, I think he's a monster. Isaiah Pacheco, I think he's going to be a game breaker. And then you got to count special teams. Anything can happen. And just like Brian is saying, if it goes down to the wire, special teams is going to play a big part of that. Kickoffs, kickoff returns, punt returns, and then kickoff coverage. I mean, you got to have all that. So, but I like Kansas City because I think that they got the best player, obviously, and he shows up and shows out in these great games. This great contest, and he lives for this moment. I mean, they struggled during the season.
Right.
Wasn't sure they were going to make it, and they're here now. So I think they're going to
light
it up.
Well, here's the 2 things. I agree 1,000,000%. I think Frisco's got the best team.
Turn off the phones.
Well, no, but I think Kansas City is the best player, and they have the one X factor. And I know Al just brought it up about special teams. Their field goal kicker is supreme, and he's good from 55 plus. And in a tight game, I trust him a lot more than San Francisco's field goal kicker to win a game or tie a game late. That's just my opinion on that. But
that's a great point. Absolutely.
So Brian likes Kansas City ultimately after flip-flopping 70,000 times. and Brian, I had to. I love you. Seriously, I had to. This has been a blast. And Al likes Kansas City because Al's smart like me, so he's taking Kansas City as well. But listen, we got to say we got to cool it for tonight. I got some things to do in the wrap. I got to do a special thanks to everybody and all my guests that have come on, including both of you gentlemen. Brian, thanks for making time to come on. I know it was a short week, but we appreciate you coming on during our Super Bowl extravaganza. We're going to have you back because you're entertaining as heck. So we're going to have you back. And Al, we're so psyched to have you as a co-host. I couldn't have asked for anybody better. You're fantastic. So I really appreciate you jumping on today. We're not going to have a show next week. We're actually taking a Valentine's Day break. We're going to take a break next week.
Much respect. Okay. I'm going to shoot up there. I'm going to shoot up your way, bro.
All right, Brian, I tell you what, let's stay close, man. Wish you
Yeah.
nothing but best, man. Nothing but the best.
Well, guys,
Yep, awesome.
I appreciate you guys coming on. It's been outstanding. Brian, we'll see you down the road. You know, we're going to be in touch some other way. You know that. Al, we'll be talking. We're doing a show in 2 weeks. We'll be back. And we're going to be back with the wrap after this. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, fantastic. Well
All right.
done.
Take care, Brian. Y'all be good.
All right, beautiful. That's pretty good.
Welcome back to Swartz Talkin Sports. I'm Les Swartz. This was an incredibly entertaining show. I loved it. Brian was a tremendous guest, back for his second time, and he's still got so many more stories. I mean, we're going to have Brian back, obviously, a few more times, and we'll have a recurring Brian Holloway theme. As like I said, he's got so much more to offer, and his stories are pretty incredible. Al, always love Al as a guest, but now Al's going to be a permanent part of the show, and I love his participation. I love his perspective as being an athlete, because I don't have that. I'm more of the fan, just like everyone out here. This is the fan show. So obviously, Al, Psych will be in touch, and we'll have you on in a couple weeks. We'll have a guest to be determined, but we'll have someone on in 2 weeks. And again, thanks for both of you for jumping on to our Super Bowl extravaganza Thursday show. This is the wrap. So, again, we expounded upon this early in the show. We hit 500 subscribers. We're past that. And that's a big milestone for us. And I really want to, again, thank everyone out there that has subscribed, all the viewers that have watched, all the viewers have checked out the shorts. We've had thousands, hundreds of thousands. It's been outstanding. Again, I want to thank my producer. I couldn't have done this without Tony. The shows get better and better every week. His production values go through the roof. We rival big-time productions out there, sports productions from ESPN and things like that. I mean, we're on par with these guys now. It's pretty amazing what we've done. Again, Tony's put together a tremendous reel, which is really going to thank all our guests that have been part of Swartz Talkin Sports from its inception in September to where we are now. So I want to make sure Tony's got enough time to run that for me. So this is a special thank you to everyone and every guest out there that has been a part of Swartz Talkin Sports. So please check this out. We've got Benny the Book, the King of Carolina. So without further ado, here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Here he is, Benny the Book.
Hey, good evening, Les.
John Irwin.
What's up,
Hey,
everybody?
John, what's happening? I'm really excited to bring on Coach Jack Smithlin. Hey, Jack.
How are you, Les? Before we get started, I just want to say that I love that Mara shirt behind you.
We're real happy to have him here. So please welcome in Bob Harris. Bob.
Oh. Hey, Les. Honored to be here.
Golfer Lance Seymour. Hey,
Hey, Les.
Lance.
Thanks for having me.
So let's introduce Greg Stofko, a friend of the show. Love to have Greg on from Cincinnati. And also Benny the Book, the King of Carolina. Thanks, guys, for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Love it.
We've got an amazing guest, so let's bring him on. Former Major League Baseball great Vince Coleman.
First, I would like to give praise and thanks to our Father in heaven and through his Son, Jesus Christ, for giving me the opportunity to play sports. And I thank you very much, and I'm blessed and honored to be here on your show tonight.
But right now, let's talk NHL, and let's bring him on, Andrew Dunn of Sports Centered Podcast. Andrew.
Hey, Les, I appreciate you having me.
Let's bring him on. Here he is, Todd Trieger. Hey, Todd.
Hey, Les. Les, how's it going, buddy?
Well, thanks, Charles. I appreciate you coming on. We've got NBA great Charles Oakley with us. And again, hope you had a good wedding this weekend, Charles, in Arizona.
It was fun. Just supporting some family members.
Man, that's cool. That's cool. We've got a treat for you tonight. We've got former Notre Dame tight end, first-round draft pick of the New Orleans Saints, Irv Smith Sr. Who was your favorite player that you thought was the coolest back in the day?
Well, it's funny you asked that question. I was actually talking to my best friend about this just today. And believe it or not, O.J. Simpson was the guy. I mean,
So, without further ado, let's bring on Benny the Book and our special guest, Al Chester Sr. Hey, guys.
Hey, Les, how you
Hi,
doing?
Les, how you doing?
Three-time NBA champion Los Angeles Lakers guard number 4, Byron Scott in the house. So let's bring Byron in. Byron.
What's up, guys?
NFL great Super Bowl champ from the Chicago Bears, Jim McMahon. We got Jim from Cabo, so let's bring him in and say hi Jim. What's going on, buddy?
How you doing, Les? Good to see you, my man.
Let's bring in Mr. Bob Lobel. Bob.
Les.
How are you? Thanks so much for taking time to come on Swartz Talkin Sports. We greatly appreciate it.
I'm very flattered to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Let's bring in tonight's guest, Brian Holloway. Brian.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Well, let's bring him on. We are pleased to introduce UFC lightweight contender Joe Selecki. Hey, Joe.
Hey, what's up, Les? Thanks for having me.
And tonight's show, Swartz Talkin Sports, is the terminal, and we have rolling in the bus, Jerome Bettis. Jerome, thanks for coming on Swartz Talkin Sports.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
That was just outstanding. So really want to thank Tony and for putting that together in such short notice. He just did that today and surprised me with it, so it was great. And that's really a special thanks to all our guests that have taken their time to come on the show and really share their experiences and the stories and answering the questions that we have usually every Wednesday and whenever we can do the show. This week it was Tuesday and Thursday. And again, the subscribers out there, you guys have been amazing from day one, asking all these things. 500 subscribers, and next we're shooting for 1,000 by the end of April. We've got some really big time guests scheduled to come on. We're going to keep that a little bit of a secret, but we're not going to be here next week. We're going to take a break for Valentine's Day. We're going to give Tony a break a little bit. He's been working, burning the midnight oil here, putting together 2 shows this week. So we really appreciate all of Tony's expert production values and directing the show. And again, a special shout out to Vince Coleman. Vince has been, again, a big backer of the show. We talk every week, and he's really been responsible for securing a lot of big time guests. I know Vince is got the tentacles out, and he's reached to a lot of people that I think we're going to have on, and I think everyone out there is going to be very impressed and very excited with some of the people we're going to be bringing on in the next few weeks and months to come. So again, hit that subscriber button if this is the first time you've seen the show. Comment, let us know how we're doing. This show I thought was fantastic. Please comment on it. I'd love to see what your reactions are on this on tonight's show. And I cannot leave tonight without a very special thank you to someone very special to me. You all know her as Joni the Chat Girl. Well, she's Joni, my girlfriend. And without Joni, she's going to kill me with this picture. But without Joni, this doesn't happen. She's been amazing. She's been behind me. She's pushed me. And without her, this show doesn't work. So, Joni, I love you. I'll see you in a little bit. Thank you so much. And what can I say? She's the best. So, again, from everyone here at Swartz Talkin Sports, we're not here next week, but we'll see you, I believe, on the 22nd, Tony. Am I right? I want to make sure I get the dates right. Wednesday the 22nd, I'm thinking. Hold on. It's the 21st. He's scrolling through his phone. I don't have my phone. I got it on mute. But so Wednesday the 21st, we'll have somebody. We're going to be doing some shorts next week. We'll let you know who it's going to be. But from Les Swartz and all of us again at Swartz Talkin Sports, thanks so much. Have a great week and enjoy the game on Sunday. Let's go Chiefs.